Okay, students, so I'm just gonna do this real quick to help you navigate through this first time that you're turning something in for my class. You will be turning in your lab basics and experimental design project. I gave you paper copies this year because that was the easiest thing to do. And you had to draw all this equipment here on this document. And then you're supposed to draw these items and give me the name of the item and how it's used. Now, if you're looking at these pages and you're like, I don't have pages 2, 3, and 4 filled up with equipment, then simply go out to your Schoology account. And I'm just picking on one of my classes here. You're going to go to your 816, 820 folder. And in that folder, you're going to find a Lab Basics intro. Now, these first two that have Brewster chemistry or the student chemistry, that's the document that I gave you. But this Lab Safety 2020 is going to be where you're going to find the equipment at the lab. And you can simply just scroll through here and find the equipment that you need to put down and get that handled. Once you have filled up all your boxes all the way through page 4, you don't need to worry about filling in any more for equipment. I know there's more slides of equipment than what's on the boxes, and that's okay. And then we did this on Tuesday where you worked on your experimental design questions. You answered these. We talked about the scientific method is not a rigorous, you've got to do it this way every single time. You've got to be able to adjust to the situations. We also talked about, I mentioned about my research with the University of Texas and working with ultracapacitors. And I mentioned about how we had a set experiment done. We had a pathway that we were taking, and it wasn't working right for us. And so I thought about my own experiences of making bread or making sugar cookies, and how sometimes when the dough is too sticky, you throw a little flour out there and roll it back through there, and you get it to the consistency that you're desiring. And I mentioned that because I used that experience to help us figure out how to get this compound that we were trying to get into the carbon backbone of the ultracapacitor. And so I used that experience and I figured out a ratio between the Teflon and the item we were working with. And sure enough, it worked because when I got the results, we got phenomenal results with it. And Dr. Blasky had me sign in patent papers before I left. And it was a really cool opportunity. But we made changes as we were going through because that's what needed to happen in order to get the results we were looking. So, um, and then I also pointed out that just because I presented the evidence that this was really great information and it worked really phenomenal, they had to send my research out to partnership universities and allow them to do a blind check, if you'd like to, of that. They did what would be called a peer review of my research to verify the findings that I was finding in lab. And once the research came back and said, yep, it's good, it's right, then we proceeded forward with it. So you're going to hear about peer research sometimes in this class. And it's just a way of checking to make sure that somebody's not lying about the research, to make sure that it actually does work, or there wasn't a something strange with the equipment, and that's the reason you got the results, and that you need to recalibrate your machine. So experimental error, it's going to happen. Your first lab this week, you're seeing that things happen. You forget to weigh things. You forget to measure things. You stir too hard and end up sloshing material out, or you weren't patient enough with the filter paper and you punched a hole through it. Those are all errors. There's also errors with equipment too that you forget to calibrate it before you begin. Um, those are experimental errors, and that's going to be your tough thing this year is reflecting on that. And then also independent and dependent variables, relating it back to the XY axis. Just a reminder that your X is your independent variable, Y is your dependent variable. Okay, so we answered those questions on Tuesday, and then y'all were starting to set up for your lab. I had y'all look over your pre-lab questions. I saw a lot of y'all were writing down physical properties of these. I saw a lot of people writing down like sugar and salt dissolve in water, but the silicon dioxide and iron filings do not. I saw people writing down that the sugar and sodium chloride are both white. Silicon dioxide is a sand color. And that's what I was trying to get you to do on that, because you use those properties to guide you on how you're going to set up your procedure. And so far, most students, you're doing a great job. You're using the magnets to get the iron filings out, and then you're taking water, you're dissolving the rest of the mixture that's left over with a little bit of water, and you're learning how to filter. So great job with that. And then we're just going to dry the filters and then um, evaporate off your water and see what we get at that point. So make sure that you do put in your information. I do want you to weigh how much you recovered. If you goofed and you forgot to weigh maybe the iron filings, I want you just to say forgot or error, all right? Be honest with it. We're learning. You're going to make mistakes and it's okay. The last thing is you have every single time these post-lab questions. There are 5 questions to answer every single time. And notice question number 5 says what errors occurred during lab. You're going to have errors, and I do want you to reflect on that. We pretty much none of us run a perfect lab. So take time, reflect on it. Current material is currently lab safety and lab basics. Previous knowledge, usually my students say that you have a little bit of knowledge coming in here about basics on lab equipment. Maybe you remember how to weigh with the electronic scale, something like that. Knowledge you gain is your reflection. How's it relate to real world? I'm sure you can find something. Don't just say you got to have it to graduate this course. Okay? And that's it. Have a great day.